crowd gathered in front of the Supreme Court for a critical hearing on Obamacare, a hearing which could mean the end to the integral part of the president's health care plan. Michael Carvin is the lead attorney in that case. He argued the matter before the U.S. Supreme Court this afternoon, and he's also former Deputy Assistant Attorney General. We are also, I'm proud to say, former colleagues at Jones Day. Mike, good to see you tonight. So let's start with how you think it went.
Well, it went really well, mainly because our argument is very compelling. It's very straightforward. The statute clearly says that subsidies are available on exchanges established by the state.
Stop right there, because most of the folks watching haven't been following it. Basically, this comes down to whether Obamacare said, all right, states are supposed to establish these exchanges, and if they do so, then the people who sign up for Obamacare on those exchanges, they can get subsidies. It's wonderful. It's utopia. Go, do that. And a lot of these states said, I'm not doing it. And then the Fed stepped in and did it, and you say, guess what? That's not what Congress intended.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The federal government is not the state government. So if the federal government establishes the exchange, then under the plain language of the statute, you don't get the subsidies. So really, the IRS was saying black means white, and that's why we challenged the law, because it's completely contrary.
So what happened was these states said, we're not doing it. And the Fed stepped in, tried to save the day, and the lawyers took a look and said, that's not how it works. And then the government, the Obama administration said, you lawyers, Carvin, you don't know what you're talking about. This is the way we intended it to work forget the language of that step. Forget that. This is the way we intended it to work all along. The problem is there's a little man named Jonathan Gruber who has been telling us all that we're morons. And he told you you were a moron when you went before the Supreme Court the first time to say that this law was unconstitutional. But secretly, he was saying similar things behind closed doors. And he, a couple of years ago, made your argument. Here he is.
If you're a state and you don't set up an exchange, that means your citizens don't get their tax credits. But your citizens still pay the taxes that support this bill. So you're essentially saying to your citizens, you're going to pay all the taxes to help all the other states in the country. I hope that that's a blatant enough political reality that states will get their act together and realize there are billions of dollars at stake here in setting up these exchanges, and that they'll do it.
Does the Supreme Court listen to some? Do they even consider? One of the architects of the law says it's exactly as you were arguing today.
Well, again, that's what the law says, and all Jonathan Gruber did was repeat what the law says. So there was this theory that we had somehow made this up out of whole cloth, and Gruber confirmed that what was obvious to everybody. If it says you only get the subsidies on state exchanges, that doesn't mean you get the subsidies on federal exchanges.
If this law fails, if you win, what will happen? Is it the end of Obamacare?
Well, I think it presents a real opportunity to reform Obamacare. The leadership of the Senate and the House has made clear that they're not going to let these people who got victimized by the IRS hang in the wind, but what they are going to do is give them some subsidies or tax credits where they can go buy the kind of insurance they want rather than what the federal government is telling them they should want.
And so it all comes down probably to Justice Kennedy and Chief Justice Roberts. Kennedy said some bad things towards you, and he said some good things towards your argument. You want to take a prediction on him and Chief Justice Roberts?
I never make predictions on the basis of oral argument. I will say that the law is so clear that I would suspect that all justices would agree that the rule of law means that we've got to enforce it the way it's written.
Well, you're wrong about that. That's definitely not going to happen. So I'll take you up on that bet, because you're definitely losing the 4 liberals on the court.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Great to see you, Mike.
Thanks. Appreciate it.